All right, ladies and gentlemen, good Tuesday morning. Welcome aboard Market Mayday or All Clear. This is the primary live trade brief here at Top Gun Options. I appreciate your flexibility. Had to jump on for a quick Fox hit just now with Bill and Dana about the antiquated air traffic control system. It's a joke. I mean, folks, this country, well, you probably listened to it, so. But anyway, but let's go ahead and get airborne because I ate into some time already. So we knocked out a Max Afterburner lifetime brief yesterday. 3 memberships are gone, and I'm only taking 5 at this discounted rate. So Chester, we're really lowering the average of our Max Afterburner lifetime group with another Tomcat guy, F-14 Tomcat guy. Great American. So Chester is on board. Nassim worked a drug deal with me, which is great. Hey, I'm going to donate now to the foundation. Can I do the lifetime down here? And I said, sure, but it'll be at 12.5. So he and I knocked out a good agreement yesterday. And then Charles, I got your email this morning. So Charles is joining us, but he's going to do the monthly payments. So that is an option as well. Oops, hold on. Let me enable everybody's chat. Sorry about that, folks. Everyone can chat with everyone. So there you go. So Charles sent me an email, or I guess it was last night. I went to bed early with the Leafs beating up on the Cats, and then I woke up to the score being 5-4. So that's my cardiac Cats. Hi, Wiz. You mentioned a payment plan, so I'm interested. I'm in solo plus another service. Can these be wrapped in as well? So yeah, folks, whatever you're in right now, goes away and you get access to everything. That's how lifetime membership works. So Charles is going to do the monthly. So the monthly is on the left side of this page here. Let me give you this link. It's 12 monthly payments, and then you're done, folks. And men lie, trades don't. So it's $1,500 a month for 12 months. Obviously, the one-time thing that I'm offering you right now is a little cheaper, but $1,500, folks. What did we do yesterday? Or what did I do yesterday in about an hour and a half right here? So there was a bear call spread shot at $1.50, and an hour and a half later, out 88%, $2,000. So if you can do a snipe, let's just say one sniper a week at $2,000, or a bunch of them that gets you to $2,000. That's $10,000 a month, folks. It's 120 grand a year. So men lie, trades don't. If you did the bear call spread yesterday, you made $2,000. You're welcome. So discipline, risk management, superior execution. You have until tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning at, hell, I take off at 6. I'm going to be up at like 4:30 down here in Fort Lauderdale, up to DC. I have a meeting tomorrow morning at the VA. If you're not familiar with who I am or what we do here, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff this morning. But last week, I posted a video, man. I was critical of this administration. I had a calendar reminder set up for the 100-day point. 100 days, knocked out a video and posted and poked. Well, it's not a poke if you're telling the truth. RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, JD Vance, all last year bullish on psychedelics. We need to help our veterans. Didn't hear a word in the past 100 days. So I let them have it. And then I got a direct message from the VA secretary that said, hey, Wiz, we'd love to have you on our team. You know, I'm like, well, I'll be in DC next week. Thursday of this week at the National Press Club, I'm going to the Federal Summit on Psychedelics. So I said, hey, I can fly up a day earlier and meet. So I'm going to be at the VA tomorrow morning at 11. Okay. So having said that, no Wednesday brief, obviously. This was going to be Wednesday afternoon at 2. I was going to trade the Fed meeting live with everybody, but obviously the VA's meeting at the VA is very important. But check this out. I'm going to go. I'm pulling all the strings I can. I'm going to try and go. It's literally a 5 to 10 minute walk from the VA to the Fed. I'm going to try and go to the press conference. You needed press credentials with 5 years in advance. I'm pulling on some threads right now. I would love to go to the Fed press conference. I don't think they're going to let me ask a question. But I'm going to try. I'm going to live trade from the Fed tomorrow afternoon. How about that? But this is the culmination of 5 years, folks. This guy, I posted a critical tweet. It's right here in this article, right here. There's the VA's response. Doug Collins, the VA secretary, responded to my tweet on X, committed to what we can do. And then the next day or a day and a half later, he sat in a cabinet meeting, folks. I'm not going to take responsibility for this, clearly. But ladies and gentlemen, I poked him. He responded to me. And then a day and a half later, I've never in the history of this country seen a president ask about I can't remember a president even saying the words veteran suicide. So love or hate Donald Trump, folks, in the cabinet meeting, each secretary got like a minute to give their bullshit ass kissing, whatever. After the bullshit ass kissing from the VA secretary, Trump looked at him and said, "What's going on with veteran suicide?" I fell out of my chair. And then he gave an answer, and then I got up off of the floor and ran outside yelling. He said, "Mr. President, we're really trying hard. We're going to look into psychedelics." Unbelievable, folks. Been 5 years. 5 years. He said there's some nonprofits out there doing some, good work. We got to look into it. It's got to test it and everything. But there are, this has really incredible potential. Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really, I'm fired up, man. So why am I rambling about this? People are here to talk about the Fed and bullish on America trades. Well, folks, here's the deal. I'm going to let you, the next two folks to grab the lifetime offer, you're going to be able to donate $5,000 of that lifetime membership to the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. Okay. We are on fumes right now, man. We've hit, last year we did 18 veterans, first responders, and family members. This year, so far, 15. And now we're out of fuel, folks. So one-time payment of 15 grand, you can donate 5 to the nonprofit. Well, I'm not going to lead with that. You get to sponsor 2 veterans to go to Oregon and experience Onward. I can't even tell you how incredible it would feel for you. Hell, I'll let you know the 2 you sponsor if they're okay with it. You can talk to them. And then 10 to TGO. So TGO loses some money, but the foundation gains some donations. Okay. Could you imagine me sitting next to Steve Leisman? I'd be like, "Give me that microphone, dude." All right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get airborne. Sorry about the cough. We got to get going. Strategic level. This brief for all the new folks, if you don't know who I am, welcome aboard. I'm not even going to tell you who I am because we have lots to talk about. Chad, we need more A-10 pilots. We don't want our average to go to 0, man. The Air Force is barely on our side. So is this the all clear? Let me open up our S&P 500 chart to about 1.5 years. Look at this. So the other day, we recaptured all of our April 2nd right there. It was called Liberation Day, right? I'm going to broadside tariffs and engage in a massive trade war. Everybody's getting screwed. Boom! Market absolutely imploded. And then we saw, it was a Friday. I'm going to delay everything by 90 days. Why? The bond market broke. The 10-year going up to almost 5 or whatever it was. Bessent and Trump, holy shit, bond market broke. And then here we are. So is this the all clear, or is this more pain to come? You ready for this? Both. Let me go ahead and bring the chart in and show you what I mean by this. Every one of these rips, ladies and gentlemen, has been implosion, bounce, implosion, bounce, and super implosion, super bounce, implosion, bounce. But this, if I could draw straight lines, is the trend. If we could draw another channel down here, that is not good. And I briefed you yesterday in our lifetime brief that what did I predict was going to happen? Back down, and we're doing it right now. We went off the 20 through the 50 with some airspeed, and we failed in what's called no man's land. In between these moving averages is no life. It's World War I trench warfare or Eastern Europe trench warfare today. World War I, the war to end all wars. Yeah, okay. They're in trench warfare again in Eastern Europe. Isn't that great? So we're going to fail. We're going to head back down to the 20-day to get some, to potentially get some stability. Let me remind you, and I'm starting a little tactical right now. I'm going to do my strategic brief. We'll get tactical again here in a couple minutes. But let me remind you, there hasn't been a single trade agreement signed. There hasn't been a single trade deal signed. Bessent was at the Milken conference yesterday. I had somebody from my mastermind group who was there, got a little love from that conversation. Folks, nothing's really happening. The Japanese, South Korea, Japan, India were allegedly, the folks that were going to kind of be first. Nothing. Okay. Somebody do the math real quick. What's that? May 2nd, June. We're, I don't know, what, 75? Yeah. We're 60 days into the president's 90-day pause. So there is the distinct possibility of another massive leg down. Okay. However, we can be bipolar, and so can I. So today, in today's brief, in our time together, I'm going to be bipolar. We can trade the front months here and be a little, I don't know if it's the all clear, and hop in a time machine and go all the way out into the future and get bullish. We call it an America trade. Okay. Bruce, you're exactly right. Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody remember Trump the First? I remember Trump the First. It was a year. How long did it take? Somebody Google it real quick, or ChatGPT. How long did the phase 1 trade deal take? I remember Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, and Ambassador Lighthizer in China. They called Trump on a Sunday afternoon like they think Biden's going to win and they're just going to bide their time. What? Get on a plane, come home. Monday morning at the open, the president outed him with another round of tariffs. The phase 1 agreement, folks, took, let's just round up or down, a year. Can you imagine how many different, this was just with China, folks. So he punched everybody in the face. I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to step through our brief here. But when I say yes, I mean that. Is it the all clear? Yeah. Why? Because we know that the president blinked. We know he can, with a tweet, send the market up 1,000 points, the Dow, right? We also know that we don't even have one agreement signed. So the answer is yes. It's not all clear, or we can say the answer is no, right? All right. So here we go. Let's knock out our strategic brief. This was, if you've been here at Top Gun Options for a while, you know that we're pretty damn good at just about everything. The day this happened, how many of you have been here since day one? The day this happened, ladies and gentlemen, what did I say? You don't have to type it because I'll tell you. We blew it up. Do you remember this? The Nord Stream pipeline? Breaking news. The Nord Stream pipeline just blew up. What did the effing Biden administration tell us? Oh, Putin did it within like 5 minutes. I'm like, Vladimir Putin blew up his own pipelines. And then, who was the prime minister of Great Britain for like a week? Remember that lady? She was prime minister of the UK for like a week. Somebody hacked into her phone. They have screenshots, or they have communications between her and Antony Blinken, then Secretary of State Blinken. It's done. We did it. Hours later, Antony Blinken is already talking about how, so folks, we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Theresa May, thank you. They couldn't even lie good, Karen. But could you imagine, let's just reverse real quick. Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Switch the names. Donald Trump, Nord Stream pipeline blows up. Democrats would be frothing at the mouth and his 20th impeachment. So we blew up. Brits, I'll leave the tactical details out of it, man. Ain't no, and do you remember what happened last year? Wall Street Journal. Oh, it was some people in a yacht with like scuba gear. I mean, folks, literally Google this. You can't make up the stupidity of the cover stories around this thing. Anyway, it is what it is. We'll move on from that, but I just had to laugh. But Trump yesterday in the Oval Office, somebody's like, hey, it came out that, he's like, I know you all know when this happened years ago, he even said that. He said, yeah, it wasn't Putin. I can tell you that. Well, probably if I asked certain people, they would be able to tell you without having to waste a lot of money on an investigation. Russia bombed their own pipeline narrative out of the Biden administration. Anyway, let's just laugh and move on. It's ridiculous. Exactly, Rick. I mean, but that's what Democrats think of the American people. You're stupid. We're smart. We're elite. You will believe everything that we tell you. A woman is not a woman. Inflation is transitory. If inflation is hitting you and groceries are high and gas is high, that's just you. It's not the rest of the country. You're the outlier. U.S. approves $310 million training and sustainment for F-16s after they signed the mineral deal. I saw C-17s or C-5s or whatever they were packing mothballed F-16s into aircraft to fly over to Ukraine. So the mineral deal, China's like, we will shut off all precious minerals to the United States. Okay, great. Sign this deal, Vladimir, and we'll give you some F-16 stuff. Done. There's the art of the deal. I didn't agree with this. I think this war should end immediately. We shouldn't be funding anything. Good luck, Eastern Europe. But that's just me. We got our own problems. But this was an interesting development. Here we go. The Fed. Great article in the New York Times, part 2 today. Fed confronts lose-lose scenario amid haphazard tariff rollout. So the Wall Street Journal does a semi-decent job of he's screwed. It really is a lose-lose. Do you cut now and risk stagflation, which is ugly, right? Or do you not cut a little preemptively? He should be cutting anyway, a little preemptively, as we're going to get hit, folks. I'm making a prediction right now. I don't care about the good jobs numbers last week or whatever numbers. The next round of macroeconomic data will have tariff war in it, and it's most likely going to suck, okay? So if you're Jerome, do you risk stagflation by a cut now, or do you not do anything and you risk the economy really, going into a recession, right? We know that Trump was blasting them. We need a preemptive cut. Isn't it incredible? I love the hypocrisy. I hate going to DC, folks. Trust me. I don't want to go to the VA. Mr. Secretary, throw on some yoga pants and boots and come sit in ceremony. Hold space in Oklahoma or Colorado or Oregon with us. I don't want to go to meet you in the VA building. I can't stand DC. But the hypocrisy. Do you remember 5 months ago, Pocahontas? Chairman Powell needs to be cutting rates. This is obscene. Trump, Powell needs to cut rates. If he does that, I'm going to impeach him. Powell should not be cutting rates. These people are not serious people. But anyway, dive right to address inflation by keeping rates where they are, or dive left to counter weaker growth by cutting rates. We'll make what will no doubt be a very difficult judgment. But I looked yesterday afternoon. I didn't look this morning. And there's a 97% probability no rate cut tomorrow. We're not getting a rate cut tomorrow. The big thing is at 2:30 in DC tomorrow, if I can sneak in, watching the press conference. What's his spoken word going to be? I'm old enough to remember in September, 2 months in front of the election, he cut 50 basis points. Just about everybody and my mother said, what? He's not going to cut in front of the election. It'll be seen as too partisan. 50. Oh my God. I mean, I would have been shocked at 25. I was stunned. And actually, I'm not stunned. He's a hyper partisan. He cut 50 basis points in front of the election. When the stock market was at record highs, jobs were solid, everything was solid, according to Joe and Kamala. Now that things aren't solid, the market is not at record highs. Trade uncertainty, tariff wars. You're not going to cut, Jerome? Trust me, if I can sneak into the press conference and sit next to Leisman, I already have my question prepared that I would ask the Fed chairman. So, yeah, exactly, Angel. I doubt I would be called on, right? Why isn't it, you know what? I'm going to make this my mission. If I don't get in, I'm going to the Fed and being like, down the street at the White House, they're letting citizen podcasters and journalists ask questions. The White House press corps has been booted to like the back couple rows. How come citizen investors and traders aren't allowed up? You know what? That's a God moment that just hit me. I am absolutely doing that. I'm going to shoot a video too, like in the Fed lobby, be like, hey man, the people in charge of this administration said, we're going to open our White House press briefings to we the people to ask questions. How come the Fed doesn't? Well, the Fed is an independent quasi-government agency. It operates outside, but oh, really? This guy had, what's his name? Ray Dalio. Remember those emails that came out? Like the largest hedge fund managers in this country have a personal, they can email the Fed chief whenever they want and shit like that. Can you do that? Answer's no. I forgot about this one, but one of the reasons we're starting to see a little movement is China's getting destroyed. I told you they don't have the ammo, the economic ammo to outfight us in this. They would literally riots in the streets. But I also said China has actual ammo because there wouldn't be riots in the street. They would start shooting and killing people if the populace really started going crazy about the economy. But they're kind of saving face with the fentanyl thing. China's like, oh, yeah, we'll try and halt the flow of fentanyl. They won't. But at least that gives Trump the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to ratchet some of the tariffs down because they're doing something about fentanyl. It's all bullshit. They're not doing anything about it. But at least it gives them some air cover and saving face. Okay? Oh, I'm totally doing that. I'm 99.9% certain, even with my contacts in D.C., they can't get me into the Fed press conference, and I'm going to make a video as to why not. We laughed about this yesterday. I can close it, but Dow headed for worst April since 1932 is no confidence signal. Hannah wrote this article on April 21st. Hannah called the bottom. Here is April 21st. Good call, Hannah. The S&P went up 10% after Hannah called the bottom. The S&P 500 has not had a 9-day run since 2004. I was flying Hornets out of Fort Worth Naval Air Station. I hadn't even gone to my trading firm in Chicago yet, the last time the S&P had a run like that. What did I tell you? I posted this on Friday. I said, warning, the S&P 500 has never gone up. I said never, but I had to do research, and it was 2004. In recent memories has done that, and a bearish sniper maybe out to Friday wouldn't be such a bad idea. So, okay. What else do I have to talk about? I mean, the headlines, folks, U.S. economy shows remarkable resilience in face of trade turmoil. Okay. Trump's policies have created headwinds, but the U.S. economy is pushing through them. I agree. Let me show you this chart real quick. I think it's on. Which slide is this on? This is a pretty cool chart. It's from the Fed, the Fed's own website. It's right here. So, folks, look at this chart. Why do I like this one, this time frame? Because I started investing and trading right here as a young ensign at Naval Air Station, Key West in Florida. $25 or whatever it was, $50 to the USAA Aggressive Growth Mutual Fund. Let's take a quick tour of we're all going to die. The market will never recover. I remember being an instructor pilot sitting in the ready room in Miramar at the dot-com boom. We imploded. There's 9/11. Oh my God, we're all going to die. Really? Nope. Then I was in the Chicago Board of Trade, the Chicago Board Options Exchange for the GFC, the global financial crisis. It's all bullshit, but we're going to bail out Wall Street. What happened? Implosion. Buy it. Then we never looked back. Obviously, look at the COVID crash, folks. There's your COVID crash. Remember how violent that was? Buy it. Then, and here's what's funny, ladies and gentlemen, I can't stand the liberal media. The Joe Biden bear market. We were down 25% by October of 2022. But that's around the time they said, no, that's not a recession, and no, that's not a bear market. Okay. But this we're going to freak the hell out about. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is markets adjust. The VIX, the volatility index, folks, gets bored. Markets end up getting bored. What do I mean by that? What's known is known. Look at the VIX. It's a heart rate monitor. When something, oh my God, we're all going to die. No, we're not. A little freak out. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, what's known is known, right? So look at this. The VIX is a heart rate monitor. Oh, we're all going to die. No, we're not. Oh, something bad happened. Okay. Look at the VIX with the, April 2nd Liberation Day. And now look at the VIX now. Okay. Markets adjust, ladies and gentlemen. Traders, professional traders, hedge fund managers don't get paid to sit in cash, right? So markets adjust. We will see resilience. Remember Wall Street, the movie. He's standing on the beach in the Hamptons. Money never sleeps, pal. I think that was the name of the next movie. So capital, liquidity, things find a way, and we are finding the way. Okay. Excuse me. Trump downplays economic concerns as he looks to cut trade deals. Of course, he's going to do that. Solid jobs numbers, 177 last week. Okay. However, we're going to start seeing some crap. This should be the biggest political story of all times. But guess what, man? Finally, native-born Americans are starting to see jobs, and government jobs are starting to tumble. Great news. Government getting smaller, U.S. getting bigger. Since 2019, folks, native U.S. workers lost I can't believe these weren't commercials by Trump every day, but he ran against Kamala. It was a layup. 1.4 million U.S. workers lost their jobs, essentially under Joe Biden, while foreigners gained 3 million. Okay. And of course, the racist Democrats would tell you, well, who's going to pick our crops? Man, I heard you guys talk like that in the past. We talked about this yesterday with Amazon. Great news for Amazon, horrific news for America. Did anybody see, who was it, Paul Tudor Jones? Did anybody watch CNBC this morning? Did you see Paul Tudor Jones? What did Paul Tudor Jones say this morning? He said what Wiz said a decade ago. If you didn't watch this interview, go watch it. He said AI is going to kill all of us. This guy was one of the most bullish on AI. And after being in a room with Elon and a bunch of smart people, he's like, I am terrified. This is one of the smart money guys. He's like, I've gone from AI bullish to it's going to kill us. Welcome to the party, pal. So I talked about this yesterday. First driverless semis have started running regular long haul routes. Oh my God. Do you remember Goose from Top Gun? Hey, Mav, do you have the number for that driving school, Truck Masters, I think it is? I'm going to need that. No, you won't, Goose. Now you're really unemployed. You can't get a truck driving job. So, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you who were bullish on NVIDIA and made money on it, the AI is going to laugh at you when they kill you. I remember you were bullish on NVIDIA, and now I'm eating your face. You got it, Steven. It was a movie. Finally, CBOE, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to get tactical. If you're new to Top Gun Options, you're like, what the hell was that? About a half an hour of the brief is our strategic, operational, tactical. Now we get tactical and we start trading. First thing I want to cover is CBOE. My God, buy this thing with both hands. Pam, you know what's funny is you're absolutely right. So AI is exciting and terrifying at the same time. You know what that reminds me of, Pam? Is life in the universe. I forget who said this. Somebody famous said this. I didn't, but it's right. We are either alone in the universe or there's life all over the place. Either one of those is terrifying. Right? Think about that for a second. Either life is zipping around all over the place or it's not. Right? So, all right. Didn't think I'd get existential in the middle. Thomas, I saw that we're alone, but there can be other multiverses. And it's so funny because people think about distance. Wiz, the scale of this universe is insane. Folks, the scale of this universe could be a grain of sand. But we can talk about that over some mushrooms. Exactly, TJ. Ladies and gentlemen, look at CBOE. Chicago Board Options Exchange. I told you to buy it with both hands. We did a full throttle at the beginning, middle of April. If you didn't join in the middle of April and you didn't get bullish on CBOE, you're a fool. Look at CBOE since we did that full throttle. It was right here. CBOE is up 15% in a month. Did you see the earnings report last week on CBOE? Holy crap. Let's go do what I showed you yesterday. If I was back at my trading firm in Chicago, I would fire every analyst. Why? Look at this. Brief me like I'm a hedge fund manager on CBOE. Financial highlights. Revenue, a record. When you see the word a record, sit up straight in your chair. CBOE achieved a record half. I'm blown away, folks. I remember when this was like maybe 50 to 100 million. That's how old I am. 13% year over year increase. Adjusted EPS, all-time high. ATH, up 16%. Net income, up 20%. Unbelievable. Operating expenses, oh boy, decreased. If you didn't read those 4 bullet points and say, I'm going to sell the wife and kids, mortgage the house, and buy CBOE, you have no clue what you're doing. And you need to join if you're not currently a member. Segment performance, revenue surge 15%. And I think this is me and you at Top Gun Options. You just, man, I shoot maybe a sniper a day sometimes, depending. Look at this. SPX options trading. Top Gun Options, 13%. A record in daily options volume, folks. That is us. Okay. CBOE, Wall Street Journal. Where's that CBOE article? Let me grab this real quick. I'm going to give it to you in the background so you can kind of be like, oh, okay, this is insane. Where is it? CBOE. There it is. Let me give you this article for those of you who are new. And then I have to cruise faster because I'm not covering what I wanted to cover. But since this is our first brief since CBOE earnings, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. A thrill-seeking trade amps up heading into 2025. Again, I'm going to age myself. This is Wiz and the Board of Trade and the Chicago Board Options Exchange with the Options News Network. oh my God, before I showed up in Chicago, look at the explosion in options activity. Now here's me, my God, 20 years later? Jesus. Well, that just depressed me. 20 years later. If you don't know what this chart looks like, ladies and gentlemen, it is called a hockey stick. Panthers are going to win tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, did I give you this article? Yeah, I just did. Oh my God, CBOE. I'm not going to, I know Craig Donahue. I interviewed him on the Options News Network, Great American. And Tomzik has been there before I was in the CBOE or was there. Guy's been there forever. Global expansion, revenue growth, folks. They raised the full year organic net revenue to from high single digits. Folks, I just can't. And we already talked about how I'm not happy about this, but they're going to have 24/7 options for folks in Asia and open it up to Asian equity. So, ladies and gentlemen, enough. You have got to, yeah, it's my best performing position, folks. It is, hell, I'm up $1,600 this month in CBOE. I would buy the CBOE with both hands. I want to cover the America trade, but folks, for all the new people, I'm going to teach you a tactic that it's just going to blow you away. We're going to hop in a time machine right now, and we're going to get as bullish as far out into the future as we humanly can. On the options chain, we can go all the way out to January of 2027. I wish I could go out farther and get even more bullish, but let's just deal with what we have right now. If you're new to trading options, ladies and gentlemen, that's awesome, Jim. That is great. If you're new to trading options, if you want it whiz, holy crap, CBOE, printing money, options is exploding, which is great news for Top Gun Options. I want to buy 100 shares right now. Do you have 23 grand? Oh my God. If I wanted to buy 100 shares of CBOE right now, I need 23 grand. Yeah, you do. How about Uncle Wiz hook you up with, do you want to control 100 shares of CBOE out 2 years from now? What do you mean control? Let's use options. The tactic I'm going to brief you on is called synthetic stock. It's going to perform the same as if you are long the stock, but you're not owning. Look at my synthetic stock, folks. It's at 200. Look how deep in the money I am right now. So synthetic stock is a tactic where you can control 100 shares. Right now, CBOE's around let's just round down, 230. Right there is the 230 strike in CBOE. If I'm bullish on something, if you're new to options, let me give you a quick options basics brief. If you buy a single Jan 27 230 contract, you are controlling 100 shares of stock. And instead of spending $23,000, I just saved you $20,000. Buying a single call option would be $3,500. Okay? But let me do you a solid. When you buy a put, you're bearish, right? Everybody understands that. Something's going to implode. Wiz said buy puts on the S&P 500 during the COVID crash and made 760 grand in a week. I did. Read the book. When you sell a put, you don't think that's going to happen. Put buyer thinks it's going down. Somebody's underneath that going, I'll sell you that put. So why don't we sell a 230 put? So ladies and gentlemen, buying a call is bullish. Selling a put is bullish. Now how much does it cost? $1,300. I just saved you $22,000. With this synthetic stock tactic, you can get long-term bullish on CBOE years out into the future. Now, let's go look at this. You see that diagram right there? That's long stock. What's this one? your synthetic stock. It performed, those are parallel lines, ladies and gentlemen. It performs the exact same as if you own the shares. Now, if you're new to this and you're going, what's the term synthetic mean? Folks, you don't get two things when you use options to create synthetic stock. You don't get to vote. Who gives a shit? You're 100 shares of CBOE stock. You ain't gonna, your vote isn't worth anything. And I don't think they're even, does CBOE have a dividend? You see, I don't care. Yeah, you don't get the 0.54% dividend. Folks, so the two things you don't get with synthetic stock, you don't care about anyway with CBOE, right? So only suckers and losers, to use a Trump term that was debunked, buy shares. Smart people use options. Now, smarter people looked at this page and said, oh my God, Wiz, I'm risking 24 grand in this trade. Well, listen, genius, if you bought 100 shares of CBOE, what is your risk? $23,200, right? It can go to zero. The odds of CBOE going to zero in the next 2 years are slim to none, and Slim just left town. I think when I did the math in the old days, there's like 10 decimal points and a 1, right? The odds of getting eaten by a golden retriever are never zero. They're pretty rare, but they're never zero. So CBOE, the max loss displayed on your order ticket is going to show the max potential loss. Excuse me. God forbid Vladimir Putin blows up Chicago. Might kind of start from scratch. But no, not going to say that. But here's what Uncle Wiz is going to show you to do. We can put what is called a disaster put underneath this, okay? We could buy a single, and what do I call a disaster? 20%. Wiz, why do you use 20%? Well, when the market just went down 20%, what do we call that? A correction. When Amazon or something goes down 20%, what do the smart money say? Well, right now the stock is in correction territory. That's what I do. I'll go buy a disaster put, a protective put, 20% under the current stock price, which is about, 185, 180. Let's just take a look at the 180 put. So what happened? The cost of the trade, since I bought a put, went up a little bit. You're buying insurance. Duh, you got to come out of pocket to pay some insurance. So the cost of this trade just increased a little bit to $2,200. However, my call sign's Wiz. It's not because I'm a wizard, long story, but look at the wizardology I just did. Instead of risking 24 grand or whatever it was with the synthetic stock position, let's take a look at the synthetic stock position with a protective put. You ready? 3, 2, 1. 7 grand. Let me get a golf clap. Everybody give me a golf clap. For the suckers and losers who buy 100 shares of CBOE, you're out $23,200 today, and your risk is what? $23,200. For the brilliant, smart investors and traders that do synthetic stock, if CBOE goes to zero, Vlad nuke strikes Chicago, the CBOE is gone, and the stock goes to zero, how much can you lose? 7,150. There is not a human on this planet that can tell me why you would buy shares over synthetic stock. And I love giving this brief because 99.9% of people who trade stock, when I give them this brief, go, why, where have you been all my life? And why haven't I been doing this? I'm like, welcome aboard Top Gun Options. I'm not done yet. I'm cheap. I want somebody to help me pay for this. What do you mean? So this is a long-term bullish trade into the future, January of 2027. But what can I do to bring in a little bit of coin right now? I can trade what is called the front month. What's the front month? May, June, July. You're sitting in a front month. I could sell an upside call out to Friday, May 9th. Let's bring the options up in the background. May 9th options. And yesterday, look at me. I already sold the 235 calls yesterday. I put out a trade alert on this. We could sell the 235 out to Friday and bring in $100. Folks, $100 is $100, man. You're a wine drinker, it's a decent bottle of wine, or it's a night out of dinner or something like that. It's $100. What if you do that every Friday, ladies and gentlemen? You pay off. If the CBOE moves sideways for the life of this trade, somebody do the quick math. It would be paid off in a year or whatever it is, or under a year. But ladies and gentlemen, if the CBOE never moves and you bought 100 shares, how much do you make? Zero. If CBOE never moves for the entire life of this trade, you make money. One more time for all the suckers and losers, why would you trade this stock? Why would you buy stock ever again in your life? This synthetic stock tactic is brilliant. Now, I'm going to pause right here so I can take a screenshot, because I send out trade alerts via our app to our members. Now, if you're a free person joining me today, welcome aboard. I'm going to tell you how to join in a couple minutes, but I'll send this in a replay email, but you aren't going to get an app alert because you're not a member. Okay. So technically, this trade is called a synthetic stock with a protective put. Now, as I'm taking screenshots, I am going to warn you. Oh, there's always a catch. It's not a catch. It's trade management. When you sell that short call out to Friday, you are on the hook, right? Sellers have obligations. If the CBOE goes above that short call by Friday, you have to close it, right? When you sell a call, you are obligated. If you sell the 235s and CBOE closes Friday at the closing bell at 235 or above, you run the risk of assignment. What's that mean? You are obligated to deliver 100 shares of that stock at 235. That's what selling that call option does. It obligates you. So if you just never look at anything again the rest of the week and it closes at 240 on Friday, Saturday morning in your bunny slippers in your bathrobe, when you open your brokerage account, if you don't have 100 shares of CBOE in your account, it's going to say negative 100 shares of CBOE. Do we understand this? So as the week goes on, if CBOE, which is, I posted this yesterday. Where is it? Right here. This was the alert I sent out yesterday. New CBOE weekly short calls. It's been on a tear, but I think we're topping out. So selling a short call out to Friday, I'll keep it on a short leash. Okay. So let's go look at the chart. What did I mean by that? It meant exactly what I wrote yesterday. So, right? It's been on a tear, but we're starting to roll over. Let's just go to today. Yesterday afternoon, I sent that alert out and it slammed into the close. I'm like, okay, now let's head and do this. I'll show you how the trade alerts work. So here we go. New CBOE. What was that? Jan 27. Jan 27. Synthetic stock. So folks, you're seeing, Wiz, I work usually during the week. I can't make your live trade. Long-term bullish stock. I'll post a link to the earnings here. Give you a little love, little trade alert love. Read results here. Insert the link. So you're going to get a trade alert. You're going to get, let me insert the pictures of the trade. This is awesome, folks. Old days, we had text alerts and email alerts. Now we got, oh, you know what? Case study. I think it went in here. Yeah, it went into my case studies folder, wrong folder. I've been posting a bunch of my case studies from Lifetime in these emails. So the default folder was this, but here you go. So right now, so when I at everyone, all 273 members in here are going to get this alert. Let me copy it and send it. And then there's the images of the trade down here. So Usually by the time I click over to here to post it in the lifetime trade alert thread, that's it right there. My phone buzzes and there's the alert down there. Instantaneous alerts. New CBOE Gen 27. Paste that in there. Also the images. The reason I do the hunters with the @everyone is because the lifetime members obviously have access to everything here at Top Gun Options. They have access to the hunters. So I don't want to duplicate trade alerts. If I did an alert from here, the lifetime people would be getting multiple alerts, and I don't want to oversaturate or annoy them. Okay. This is what our member area looks like. Okay. Right now, you're going to be able to join the hunters, or the next two people get that lifetime discount. So we have two threads. This is where we post our intel and commentary. This is where I posted, hey, I got to move the brief. Scott posting some Buffett stuff. Karsten, you know. And then over here, trade alerts only, right? So we don't have one thread with people got to look for trades and a bunch of intel here. You click on learning right here, and here's our member area. Yeah, we had a great brief yesterday. View the replays. There's the replay from yesterday. Up at the top, you click that, and then there's the trade. I post the screenshot of the trades. We did a synthetic. There are companies who have stopped giving guidance. Amazon's like, yeah, we might be a little softer. My God, folks, their blowout earnings, if there wasn't soft guidance, they'd be up. It's called Options Weapon School. I'm going to give you the link to join right now. As soon as you join, people watch these things over and over, and each time they watch something, they're like, dude, I picked up something new. This is worth the price of admission for 6 methodology. We take a half an hour to 45 minutes for me to, this is worth the membership alone. $2,000 yesterday, one trade, and it was like shooting fish in a barrel. This is not hard, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually, once you put in a little elbow grease, this is pretty easy. So today, ladies and gentlemen, you can join the Full Throttle program. It's $295 a month, but let me brief you the better stuff. Let me scroll down here. If you want access to that group you just saw, the hunters over here, right? Let me go back. Here's the hunters right there. Wiz, I want access to the intel and commentary and the trade alerts thread. Okay. That's called the hunters. That's an investing group we have here at Top Gun Options. And then obviously the lifetime group is our most elite trading team. Okay. But you can get access to the hunters today for $497 a month. That is a kick the tires. Do that for a couple months and say, you know what? I love it here. Now I'm going to upgrade into an annual. Or just start with the annual. 80 to 90% of current members are in the Full Throttle annual membership. Okay. I can pay for this in a couple days with S&P 500 trades, folks. Okay, but this is kind of the Hunters Monthly. Let me make sure you're not a complete idiot. And this is the guy's not an idiot. Let me move right now. Let me give you the link to this. As I'm giving you the link to this, the $295, folks, is a tire kicker. I want access to the briefs. I want that Options Weapon School training. You just showed me the 7 briefs and the manuals. You don't get access to the hunters, folks, because you ain't paying for it. Derek, just go to the App Store, either on Apple or whatever the Android App Store is called. It's called Go Collab. Sorry, that's a B. Go, Kollab. It's called Go Collab. Okay. That's the app you need to download. Once you join, Derek, you're already a member, but for everybody else, once you join on your receipt or whatever, it'll say, hey, go download Go Collab. Okay. That's what the app is called. Collab, Kollab. So go to your app store for Android or Apple, and you can download it there. Okay. Tom, I'm telling you, man. So Tom's bringing up a good position that we also have. Sabra, SBRA. These are the psychedelic names, folks. You have got to be long-term bullish on the psychedelic names. If not, you're a fool. You are missing the opportunity of a lifetime. AHR went public a year ago. It is up 140% in a year. I want that to sink in. It's a year, folks. It went public right here last February. Now, many of you, thank you for this shameless plug. Many of you, and I'm going to remind you of the Lifetime Group, man, you get access to private equity deals that if a regular investor, I trade at Joe's Trading, whatever, you ain't getting any of this stuff, folks. So Healing Realty Trust, I think we have 25 TGO members in this REIT, Healing Realty Trust, which is better than Sabra and AHR. And we're supposed to go public in a year or two, depending on if I talk to Joe or Cody. If you are in Healing Realty Trust, your initial investment already quadrupled based on our current valuations. This was an obscene offer, ladies and gentlemen. It's exactly right, Rick. Those healthcare, Make America Healthy Again names ain't going to be impacted by trade deals and tariffs. And in a couple weeks, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be able to invest in Demorex. Folks, if you don't know my story, 30 seconds. Ibogaine, I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary. The fact that I am, you know what? This just hit me. I'm a week and a half for my 4-year reborn anniversary, and I'm going to the VA. That is awesome. That just hit me. I looked at the date. I'm like, oh my God, man. This time 4 years ago, I was preparing to go on a retreat with the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, Jared Taylor from Black Rifle Coffee, and JJ is a TGO member. I don't know if you're in here, my brother. And then Robert Gallery, who he was an All-American at Iowa, and then the Raiders. Horrific head trauma. Ibogaine saved my life. It changed my life. I was a drunk. I shouldn't talk like that. Alcohol was bad. For a year after the Ibogaine, if I looked at alcohol, if I smelled it, it made me dry heave. Demorex, Dr. Deborah Mash, is using Ibogaine to stop alcohol use disorder. Well, why am I rambling about this? Because if you join Top Gun Options, folks, you get to invest in these potential. They invited me to be on the advisory board. I have accepted taking equity in the company, and you guys are going to be able to invest. If you are interested in, here's Dr. Mash podcast with me, her brief. I strongly recommend you watch this. Gene, it's not public. Demorex is a private company. That's what I'm saying. They are doing another investment round. And after she was on the podcast, she's like, Wiz, do you think any of your folks would be interested? I'm like, oh my God, this is an opportunity. She said, oh yeah, we could take another little round of funding with some angels. So here it is right here, folks, Transforming Addiction Therapeutics. I'm going to, TGO Lifetime members are going to be in this brief, and they get first crack, man, at this investment. So go to Demorex.com. You can look up, there it is. There's the link, Demorex.com, folks. The Ibogaine, folks, destroys addiction. Years ago, they did a study, 85% of heroin addicts, one Ibogaine treatment, folks. They woke up the next morning and went downstairs to eat breakfast. People are like, I haven't eaten breakfast in years, and I can't believe I'm not shaking and vomiting and having withdrawal symptoms. 85%, they stopped the study after 3 years. Why? Because if you start doing heroin again after 3 years of not doing it, it wasn't the Ibogaine. The Ibogaine is an addiction interrupter. I'm a coffee fiend. 6 to 8 months after the Ibogaine, I still wasn't. Susie's like, oh my God, what happened to you? Now I can have a glass of wine if I choose to with my steak or my pasta. If I go out Thursday night after the psychedelic medicine conference, I might have a glass of wine. I can do that. But ladies and gentlemen, old Wiz was probably a glass of wine met the bottle, probably 2 or 3. Now I am in control. So ladies and gentlemen, I went on this rant because as a member here at Top Gun Options, you get access to these private investments. Ain't no other service where you're getting access to this. I'm an owner. I'm not an owner. I mean, I have equity, and I'm on the advisory board for the REIT and all sorts of stuff like that. And obviously, new growth connections with Daniel Carcillo. It's now called Experience Onward. clinic in Oregon. We're looking at properties in Colorado. And thank you to the voters in the great state of New Mexico. We're going to be looking down in New Mexico for a property as well to open more clinics, folks. Yeah, actually, let's do that. You should be 246 in a sniper right now on SPX. We're making a run up to 5650. I would look at the 5620. 5620, 15. Is there any premium? Yes, fire. And it's flopping around. I want to get filled. If you don't know what I'm doing, I just shot a sniper shot. Same one same cost that I did yesterday. Here we go. New SPX day bull put spread at everyone. Paste the trade. See, you get this within seconds of me doing it. $1.15 credit. And then I hit fire. CREDIT. Boom, boom, boom. That took me 12 seconds. Fired. Boom. Good call. Whoever was asking about that sniper. I've been watching it over here, but we got a solid turn. What am I talking about, Wiz? 2-4. There was we got a nice solid 2-4. And remember, you see my lines on this? This isn't from E-Trade. These are me lines. These are $25 increments. The S&P 500, if you can't see, moves in $25 ranges. We closed at a 25. We gapped down to a 25. Now we've been hovering at a 25. Now that we're out of amateur hour, it'll set the tone for the day. 2-4 with solid candles. I shot aggressively. If you got a confirmed green here, that would be a 6. It would be confirmed. But this is the S&P ain't going to stay here all day, folks. We're either going to rip up to 50 or back down to 5,600. So I get filled. Filled. What did I get filled at? Oh man, $1.20. So potentially, folks, with that sniper, 15 times $1.20. That's a potential profit of $1,800 today with one trade. Okay, that's 3 months of your monthly hunter at $497, or it's almost your annual payment. I made $2,000 with a snipe yesterday, folks. So if this one hits max profit today, that's $3,800 in 2 days. Nice shot, Kevin. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So, folks, any questions? Sorry, choking here. 2 memberships left, unless somebody already. Charles, you got to do your monthly. So that leaves 2. Ends tomorrow at midnight. When I'm in DC tomorrow night at midnight, if you reach out to me Thursday, Friday, hey, Wiz, I'd love that lifetime offer. It's $20,000. You are getting a 20% discount for the next 56 hours or whatever, day and a half. Shoot me an email, Wiz, W-H-I-Z, at Top Gun Options. Okay. Shoot me an email, Wiz at Top Gun Options. Wiz, I want the lifetime, or I'm doing the monthly, or work a drug deal. Nassim worked a drug deal with me and I accepted it. We kind of met in the middle, and he's helping out the foundation first and then paying for the lifetime. So, that closes tomorrow night. If you're brand new, you're like, dude, I was here for the other stuff. Well, then you do the gateway drugs, right? The gateway drug here at Top Gun Options is, full throttle monthly. Or let me go. That's actually not the super gateway drug. The super gateway drug, to just kind of check out what we do here at Top Gun Options, is solo Amazon. We only trade Amazon. It's a brief every Monday at 10 a.m. and it's $97 a month. It's separate from all the other stuff, folks. This is literally the gateway drug if you just want to dip your toe in the water. It's $97 a month, or if you do the annual, you get 2 months included. It's $970 for a year. So if that sniper makes $1,800 today, I essentially just paid for an annual membership in your solo Amazon. Okay. Again, men lie, trades don't, folks. I'm the only guy or gal, if I identified as a gal today. Is that offensive? Do you say the word gal? If you say guy or gal, I don't even know if that's offensive or not. I really don't care. People's triggers are their own responsibilities. I'm the only how about that? I'm the only they that does this. Other folks give you 20,000 PowerPoint slides with screenshots of trades from 20 years ago. Not me. I open up the doors to our live trade brief and show you trades live, what I'm doing live, showed you my CBOE positions, showed you my personal account, and I'm in it to win it. If you got any questions, shoot me an email, WHIZ at topgunoptions.com. But I appreciate it, Tom. If you guys can do me a favor tomorrow at 11, I'm going to be walking into the VA, man. And I'm going to be, if you're new, you probably don't know me. If you've been here a while, you know me. I'm not going to pull any punches, man. If it's going to be some, hey, we'd rather have you inside the tent, piss. And I'm like, I'll go outside the tent and piss inside. I appreciate the secretary's words. I appreciate the secretary sending me a message. Actions. Remember, folks, I have a saying. If you're going to throw a knife, make sure there's a note attached to it. Just don't criticize. What's the note? I got notes. Just like, Sean Ryan said on his podcast to the VA secretary, give vouchers. Right now it's $6,500 for ibogaine in Mexico. It was $3,500 when I went. Those places, I don't fault them. They're businesses. I'm a nonprofit. They're a business. I'm like, seriously? You're doubling? The price of ibogaine didn't go up. It's more popular, Wiz, or Joe Rogan's talking about it. So, pricing power. However, Mr. Secretary, give vouchers. Send me your receipt from 4 years ago, Wiz. The VA will reimburse that. If you're an illegal that gets flown into New York City under Joe Biden, there's a hotel, there's insurance, there's an EBT card. We can't reimburse veterans that are taking healing into their own hands. That's the immediate action item, Mr. Secretary. Start providing vouchers. I'll give you the receipts from the nearly 75 veterans and here first responders and family members we've helped heal. Here's the invoices. Here's the donations that we've done. Can we get reimbursed? Reimburse us for all those so we can move on to the next 75 veterans. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm happy. But action, folks. You know me, man. Action. Forward's a direction. I can't stand any more talk. But the fact that this was brought up in a cabinet meeting makes my heart smile. Thank you, God. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Dad. Thank you to my 16 brothers who went before me, including or excluding the 4 that decided to check out by their own hand. All right, let's end on a high note. Change is coming. Lead, follower, get out of the way. If they're not doing change, I'll be their harshest critic. If they are, start moving, I'll be their biggest supporter. Truth. There is only truth, folks. And truth is neither good or bad. It just is. But I'm honored and humbled to be doing this work. The next 2 folks who do lifetime, you get to donate 5 of your lifetime fee to the foundation. And it's going directly to try and fund our next couple retreats, man. We're on fumes right now and we need your help. All right, I got to go. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. Fights on. Namaste and basi basi. Wiz will be joining you tomorrow from DC. Make sure you keep an eye on my social media. Cheers. See ya.